I topic about severe vitamin D deficiency. I study University Nursing School. My name is Diana Toala. Definition: Vitamin D is a fat soluble vitamin essential to maintain normal calcium metabolism. Vitamin D3 cholecalciferol can be synthesized by humans in the skin after exposure to the ultraviolet B. UVB radiation for sunlight on carbon obtained through the diet. Plant synthesizes aerosol that turn it into vitamin D2. Cholecalciferol with ultraviolet light when exposure to UVB, the radiation is insufficient for the synthesis of adequate amount of vitamin D3 in the body. Eating enough vitamin D through diet is essential for health. Application in medicine. The underlying cause must be treated to prevent its recurrence. The replenishment of calcium, phosphorus, or vitamin D that are missing will eliminate most symptoms on right. Dietary salt and vitamin D include fish, liver, and processed meat. Recommended exposure relieves symptoms and correct the cause of this condition. The underlying cause must be treated to prevent its recurrence. The replenishment of calcium, phosphorus, and vitamin D that are missing will eliminate most symptoms of rickets.
Top 5 health benefits of vitamin D. Absorb nutrients. It helps the intestine absorb nutrients, including calcium and phosphorus. This ensures strong bones and a strong immune system. Prevents rickets. Vitamin D prevents osteomalacia and rickets. Osteomalacia, which causes weakness of the muscular system and brittle bones, is most prevalent among adults with vitamin D deficiency. Rickets is a skeletal deformity mostly seen in children with vitamin D deficiency. Provides calcium. Vitamin D provides calcium balance in the body that prevents osteoporosis or arthritis. Control blood pressure. Vitamin D regulates blood pressure, reduces stress and tension, relieves body aches and pains by reducing muscle spasms, reduces respiratory infections, helps in differentiation of the cells, aids in insulin secretion, helps fight depression, improves overall skin health by reducing wrinkles, makes skin soft, strong, and smooth, and improves cardiovascular strength by providing a protective lining for the blood vessels. Control diseases. Vitamin D is recommended in the treatment of several diseases. It may prevent preeclampsia by improving kidney function, cancer by controlling abnormal multiplication of cancer cells, diabetes mellitus by controlling insulin production, hyperparathyroidism by reducing parathyroid numbers, osteomalacia by improving bone and muscle strength, hypophosphatemia by controlling the phosphates in the body, hypocalcemia by preventing abnormal deposition of calcium, and renal osteodystrophy by regulating calcium content and fibromyalgia. Thanks for watching this video. Please like, share, and subscribe channel for more health tips. Have a nice day.
Pros. The disorder can be cured with replacement of minerals and vitamin D. Values of laboratory and egg rice usually improved alternately and with on treatment. Although some cause my regular dose of mineral and vitamin D. Cons. Turning skeletal palm, skeletal deformities, skeletal fractures that can occur without cause. Is in applied in Ecuador. One study in Ecuador eliminated of the hypothesis and confirmed the link between the substances and the alterations. Cognitive lack of vitamin D associated with Alzheimer's disease. Those who have a deficiency of the nutrient were 53%. High risk of developing dementia. Investigator will determine in the consumption of oily fish slow down. Mental illnesses. Still not found a cure for Alzheimer's. Specialists recommend recreational therapies to stimulate memory and impulses.
Rickets is a softening of bones in children due to deficiency or impaired metabolism of vitamin D, phosphorus, or calcium, potentially leading to fractures and deformity. Rickets is among the most frequent childhood diseases in many developing countries. Signs and symptoms of rickets includes bone pain or tenderness, dental problems, muscle weakness, increased tendency for fractures, skeletal deformity, bowed legs, knock knees, craniopelvic and spinal deformities. Treatment and prevention. The treatment and prevention of rickets is known as antichoretic. The most common treatment of rickets is the use of vitamin D. However, surgery may be required to remove severe bone abnormalities. Diet and sunlight. Treatment involves increasing dietary intake of calcium, phosphates, and vitamin D. Exposure to ultraviolet B light, cod liver oil, halibut liver oil, and Viasterol are all sources of vitamin D. Types of rickets. Nutritional, vitamin D resistant, vitamin D dependent, type 1, type 2, congenital, and newborn.
Now we will come to deficiency disorders of the bones. Rickets. First, let us study the normal anatomy of the growing end of a long bone. The oval structure at the end is epiphysis or the growing center. It is separated from the main bone by a radiolucent gap which represents the growth plate. The edge of the metaphysis shows a white line of calcification termed as the zone of provisional calcification, and the portion of the bone beneath it is the metaphysis. In rickets, the early changes to occur are an increase in the distance between the epiphysis and metaphysis, that is widening of the growth plate, and loss of zone of provisional calcification, so the calcified end margin of the metaphysis becomes blurred and is termed as fraying. Later, the soft end of the metaphysis with stress becomes wider and concave, termed as splaying and cupping respectively. In long-standing cases, the bone density is reduced and bowing of the leg bones may occur. This is an X-ray of the wrists of a child with rickets. The wide and cup-shaped metaphysis can be identified from a distance, and note the soft tissue widening caused by the widened metaphysis. Now here, note the increased distance between the epiphysis and metaphysis, shown by the blue arrow. This is a widening of the growth plate. The margin of the metaphysis is blurred and frayed, that is, the line of provisional calcification is disturbed. The metaphysis is widened and its end is concave. The arrow shows the increased concavity of the metaphysis in the ulna, termed as cupping. In the lateral view, the fraying of the zone of provisional calcification is seen nicely. So also the splaying of the metaphysis with bowing. In this X-ray of the wrist, the red arrow points to the fraying of the zone of provisional calcification, and the blue arrow shows the concavity or cupping. Note the cupping in lateral view. If you note carefully, there is calcification in the metaphyseal margin and the growth plate is normal. This is because the child has already received treatment. This is healing rickets. The chest X-ray of the same patient shows another feature of rickets, that is widening of the anterior ends of the ribs. Note the widened rib ends seen clinically as a rickety rosary. This is an 8-year-old child with renal rickets. The wrist shows a wide growth plate. Zone of provisional calcification is frayed and thinned. The metaphysis is wide and cupped, that is splaying of the metaphysis, is seen. The tibia also shows fraying of the metaphyseal border and widening and splaying of the metaphysis. The changes are better seen in the wrist if the child is crawling and in the knee if the child is walking. This is a child with active rickets. Note that the zone of provisional calcification is completely rarefied and hardly seen at all. In the lateral view, the widening and cupping of the metaphysis is seen. So the radiological features of rickets are loss of zone of provisional calcification with fraying of the metaphysis. That is, the margin of the metaphysis becomes blurred and indistinct. Number 2, the growth plate widens, increasing the distance between the epiphysis and metaphysis. Number 3, the metaphysis becomes wide, termed as splaying of the metaphysis. It also becomes concave or cupped with spurs at the margin. And in late stages, there is bowing of the diaphysis, that is, bending of the shafts of long bones.
Hey guys, it's Patrick, and in spirit, Andrew Dell also. And our presentation is about a bone disease called rickets. It's really weird. Your legs and your arms could actually form into the shape right here, as you can see in the x-ray. Rickets is basically a childhood bone disorder in which your bones soften and become prone to fractures and deformities. Just like in the last slide, you saw the x-ray of the child's legs. This disease is really troublesome. Your bones, good shape, and grow all over the place. It's really rare in industrialized nations like the US and some parts in Europe, but it's actually decently common in developing countries. So the cause of rickets is basically an osteoid in your bones failing to calcify in a person's growth. That's why it's so common in children, because they catch it while they're growing. But it even happens in adults. It's called osteomalcia. Osteo meaning bone, and malcia meaning softness. Here are some real-life examples of rickets, and this is actually why it's called bow legs, because your legs look like bows. They're really weird and awkward. So the symptoms of rickets is bone pain, bone tenderness, bones breaking easily, low calcium levels, skull softness, growth being affected, bow legs, and spinal and pelvic deformities. There is a wide range of symptoms, but it's all pertaining to your bones not being able to calcify. So this is the signs of rickets, but by an image. See how your femur could form into a bow, same thing with your fibula, and you got a really large head and it's really, they ain't cute. It's not good. So the age groups affected are really adolescent kids because they catch it while they're growing, and it's because they don't have enough vitamin D in their food or not playing out in the sun enough. So these are the majority of the age groups. These are the kids. It's about 4 to 6 while they're growing. It's more of adolescence than around 7 or 8. So the treatment for rickets is basically just taking vitamin D supplements. That's the most recommended thing so far. As well as diets that have a lot of vitamin D, such as eggs, fish, and milk. So this is basically all it is. Vitamin D, dietary supplements, picture of milk. There's your grapes and your carrots and your milk again, and eggs. So pretty much just eating healthy. And thank you for giving me your attention. This is a picture of a dog. I hope you guys enjoy that. And then that's a picture of me and Andrew. Thanks, guys. Have a good year.
Prevention. If you have overweight or obese, probably need more vitamin D than a thinner person, and this is the sum cause for people with a body weight higher due to its muscular mass. Your best source of vitamin D is a daily exposure to the sun without screaming until the skin color is light pink. Although this is not always possible due to the chance and science and their geographical location and the color of a skin. This is ideal to achieve sign with optimum your vitamin D levels naturally. To use the sun that maximize the production of vitamin D and minimizing your risk and damage to the skin. Known approximately with 10 and 2 is the safest and the best time to do using this time in when the UVB rays are more intense. You will need the to live thin low and will produce more vitamin D. Conclusion: the importance of studying the being the effect of metabolism of vitamin D is that they can also occur in osteoporosis, diabetes, and have the opportunity to study human beings, not only what is wrong with the normal physiology and all human beings. Thanks.